Today we're going right into the heart of it. Suppressed emotions. The ones we've learned to bury, push down, or override with positive thinking. But here's the truth. Those emotions don't just disappear. They clog the channel. They blur your intuition. They stall your healing and block the very miracles your soul is calling in. They could circle you and you would miss them. In this episode, I'll show you why suppressed emotions create misalignment with manifestation, how they keep you tethered to the collective patterns, and what shifts the moment you meet them with compassion instead of suppression. Because when the channel clears, your DNA recodes, your vibration rises naturally, and miracles stop being rare and they become the very frequency that you live in.
You're listening to the Intuitive Mastery Podcast. Hi, I'm Kate Connolly, and with over 15 years of intuitive healing and teaching experience, I'm here to help you celebrate intuition and value authenticity to create a world where you have the freedom to live your best life. This podcast is here to teach you how to apply the principles of spirituality, healing, and mindset to have true and lasting joy, all from the inside out. This is the Intuitive Mastery Podcast.
Hi everybody, welcome back, or welcome if this is the first time you're tuning in. I'm so excited always to present whatever information I have because I have such devotion to helping you and me and the collective shift into a completely different way of being, where we can actually get past our own stuff, where we can move into a place of flow and clarity. And there's so many different things that we can do, especially when we start moving through what we would call either a spiritual or a self-actualization journey. To me, they're the same thing. But there are so many different paths that we can take and so many different ways that we can try. And believe me when I tell you, I've probably tried so many, probably not all, but enough to recognize and realize this one fundamental thing that seems to get overlooked too often, I think, and that is the concept of emotion and suppressed emotion. And if you are tired, searching, or just curious, if you're here, you're meant to be here. So give yourself permission to breathe a little bit. We can just land in this space for a moment and just open up to the possibility of really beautiful change happening. So I've been sitting with this a lot in my own journey and in my client work. Often our deepest blocks aren't from a lack of devotion. They're not from not doing enough. They're from something far quieter, which is suppressed emotion. Now, it's not just emotion that does this, but this seems to be one of the most powerful shifts. If we change this, a lot can change, but also more powerfully than that, one of the biggest things that we need to do with bringing in miracles and creating really positive changes in our lives is the ability to sit in complete quiet, to open up our vibration and our field to the possibilities. And there's lots of things that can make that really difficult. One is belief systems that are impacting our ability to believe it. We have suppressed emotions, we have blocked energy channels, and we also have this noise that seems to impact our ability to be still and be open in that vibration of receiving and allowing at the same time. And suppressed emotions is probably one of the most powerful ones. And I really want to dive into this today because ultimately I think it's the thing that most people are scared of. And when I work with clients in a one-on-one fashion, the most powerful thing that they struggle with is expression of emotion, vulnerability, and letting go of control. And when you've done all the right things, you're doing rituals, meditations, deep breathing, courses, healing, and you still don't have clarity and you still don't have miracles showing up in your life, I'm here to tell you there's more to it. It's not that you're doing it wrong, and it's not that there's something wrong with you. You either have more healing to do, or you've got suppressed emotions, or your energy is blocked. And the energy gets blocked often because of the emotions and the beliefs. So it can feel really heavy when you're in this place. What I notice when people are really blocked in their emotions, their body's going to feel tighter and more painful. They're going to feel really heavy and kind of hopeless. There's this sense of, oh my gosh, nothing is going to change here. I'm stuck in this life where I'm on rinse and repeat. Nothing good is happening. I'm really working on my vibration and I'm really trying to call in cool things, but nothing is happening. And if you are looking at your belief systems and working on your blocks around that, that is going to make a really big difference. But I really want to touch on how important the emotions are and why they might be blocking you, because we think we're doing the right thing, but often we're missing really vital and fundamentally important questions in terms of being able to release suppressed and stuck emotion. So why do they block your channel? It's because when we don't really feel them, they don't just disappear. This is something that I see so much in my clinic, is this belief that, well, if it ain't hurt, it's not there. If it's not causing me pain and discomfort and dysfunction, if in this moment I'm happy, everything's fine. And if I can relate to someone and not feel emotional or dysfunctional, well, then there's nothing stuck. And I would almost kind of say sometimes the opposite is true. If you are feeling really detached or even a little bit numb, if you're going through the motions, but you're not really feeling any emotional kind of intensity in any way, that includes joy as well as frustration or anger or despair, you might be shutting them down. And shutting down doesn't look like happiness, it looks like neutrality. And neutrality is fine to some extent, but I think we often find it really difficult to discern the difference between neutrality and numbness. We think we're neutral, but actually we're probably numb. And I think neutrality cannot, like true neutrality, where our soul feels at peace and everything feels expansive and we feel a part of all that is, kind of that transcendental kind of feeling and emotion and energy, that only happens after you've been able to move through your emotion. I don't think it's possible to do it without it, because ultimately it's still going to be stuck somewhere unless we give it the time of day that it needs. So where do they go? They lodge in the body, they lodge in the nervous system, and they lodge in the auric field. Okay, so the area around our body. And they become like residues that kind of cloud the lens through which you see yourself in the world. And these belief systems and emotions make it really difficult for you to see the world as your true self, your highest self sees it. But it also really makes things very misaligned for you. So it really finds it very difficult. Your soul finds it very difficult to kind of bring things in and manifest things when we've got all of this stuff in the way. And I really want to kind of bring up something that completely misaligns with the manifesting world, right? We're told, stay in high vibes, stay positive, keep your frequency up, Make sure that you're constantly going into this la place when you're meditating and when you're going into that future pacing of what you want your life to be. And for many, many years, I tried this manifesting thing and I just kept missing. Like nothing was really working and I didn't know why. What I was very aware of was belief systems that would get in my way that I would have to work through. But the other thing that I didn't do and didn't realize was how suppressed and blocked my emotions were. How many times have you shut your voice down to keep the peace? How many times have you not allowed yourself to express a feeling because it's going to hurt somebody, or express a frustration because it's not appropriate? You know, we all do it. We've all done it. And unless we give ourselves permission to, at the very least, meet that emotion a bit later, that is still going to get stuck. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter how big it is. If we have not acknowledged it for what it is and given it a moment at least to be recognized, it will get stuck. It just does. So when you are carrying grief, anger, disappointment, shame, anything that's kind of really stuck in your body, you kind of, the manifesting process is trying to jump to joy without meeting what's already there. And this is where we can kind of get this manifestation, but not really. This is where we kind of try to call in the miracle, but we feel blocked. This is where when we're trying to move forward, the universe is like, oh yeah, but what about ... Okay. When we try to skip to joy, we are not manifesting. We are not creating clarity. We are bypassing. We are ignoring all the stuff that is allowing that miracle or that manifestation to come through. Okay? Your body knows when you're faking it. Your soul knows when you're faking it. And instead of clearing it, instead of feeling amazing and you feel clear, you might in that moment, when you're kind of in that beautiful alpha or theta state, in that moment when you're manifesting and sitting in the field, and yes, you absolutely can rewire stuff from that place. I'm not saying you can't. You absolutely can. However, most people find it extremely difficult to get to that alpha and theta state to start with. And not only that, they can't do that because they have a clogged channel through suppressed what? Emotions. And as much as we would like to say, oh, well, I can just get into manifestation and all of this beautiful stuff comes through, I absolutely invite you, please, to put in the comments how you've been able to manifest amazing things, miraculous things, when you know you have deep suppression of something in your body, when you know that you haven't been able to express yourself, when you know that there are things that are deeply unresolved and really impacting your ability to call that in real time. So we can try and manifest from that alpha and theta state, and it can absolutely work. I'm not saying it doesn't. I think it's really important to do that. But the piece that we're missing is recognizing what emotional stuff we haven't been allowing. Because we shouldn't just have to be in alpha and theta state to call stuff in. We should just be able to be in our normal world and say, hey, universe, I'm looking for this. I'm going to let it go. You bring it in when you're ready, if that's what's in my highest alignment, and then you keep going about your day. How cool is that? Why can't we do that? We can't do that if we are really, really blocked. And we are going to be really, really blocked if we have all of this suppressed stuff stuck in our body. Okay? So it will block your channel because your intuition will blur. Guidance will feel uncertain. So even if stuff's coming through, it's not going to feel really clear. When you have a very clear intuitive hit, it is like so incredibly clear. There is no questioning it. There is no umming or ahhing. It just is. And it's very, very powerful. And if you don't feel that knowing, maybe it's a bit blocked. Maybe it's a little bit uncertain. And that's because the channel is still blocked from all of that suppressed stuff. Okay? It also makes it really difficult to heal because the body can't release what hasn't been acknowledged. And this is where people get extremely terrified of healing. It's because they're just so worried that the Pandora's box of emotion that you think is going to overwhelm and kill you is actually what is killing you because you haven't opened it. I actually worked with someone on this on the weekend, and we literally worked on the Pandora's box of emotion because her biggest fear was, if I let them in, if I let these emotions flow, I will never ever stop them. And she had very real reason for this. The last time she allowed all of these emotions to flow unchecked, she actually went into a really deep depression and ended up on medication and really struggled. And one of the things that we recognized with her is that a lot of what she was doing is continuing in thought loops. So even though she was crying a lot, there was nothing that was actually releasing because she was going back into the same thought loops because she had belief patterns around being able to move on and to feel free. So once we were able to release and clear the belief system and then give her permission to actually release the emotions fully and totally, then everything started to clear up energetically for her, and it just started to become a lot freer. So when we want to heal anything, the acknowledgement is key first. We can't do that any other way. We need to do that with our bodies, with our lives. We need to do that with partners and with kids in our relational lives. If we have a hurt from a partner and they are not acknowledging that, that healing for us becomes extremely difficult. We can acknowledge it for ourselves, but there's going to be a fundamental break in that relational experience. And if they cannot show up for us in the way that we need, and vice versa, if we can't show up for them in the way that they need through the process of acknowledgement and validation, then we are going to have a fundamental break in that relationship. And when that happens enough, those relationships will break down. It doesn't matter who the relationship is with. And we have that with our own soul and our own body. The less we acknowledge that stuff, the bigger that gap becomes. And the ability for us to be a clear and free channel is really, really compromised. So also, I want to kind of touch on this concept of miracles. Now, miracles are different to manifesting. Miracles kind of come from the field in like a surprising, unearned way. They just show up. Have you ever met people that just have this like incredible ability to have the best things happen to them at all times, and they don't really do anything to earn it? It's not because they're brilliant at doing, and it's not because they're brilliant at deserving. It's all about their frequency. It's about getting into the frequency of allowing and accepting and expecting the miracle, but letting it go if they don't. And if you have an enormous amount of suppressed emotion, the field gets too crowded for these new frequencies to land. Like, it's actually blocked. So if we want to allow miracles to come into our lives, the most important energy thing that we can do outside of working through our belief systems is to clear the suppressed emotion. Now, when we're talking about dreams or manifesting or what it is that we want to call in, the same thing happens. Every intention, if it comes from a muddy place, will also create a muddy outcome. So, for example, if I want to call in an amazing holiday, and the last time I was on holiday, I had the most horrible experience with a family member, and I was really angry and I was really frustrated, and I shut it all down to make it work. And I have this thing that's stuck in my body from having a holiday. It's not actually about the holiday. It's not actually about the relationship or the person or anything else. This is about the fact that I did not allow myself to process those emotions. So when I give myself permission to do that in its rawest, most authentic, most real way, then I also then open the channel and the possibility to call in a next really good holiday. So if we're really stuck with these dreams and bringing the dreams into our reality, like right now, we need to be having a look at those emotions and to see whether, and just ask ourselves, where do I have really stuck emotions? What emotions have been waiting to be felt and be waiting to expressed so that I can move forward with my life? What in my body is really stuck? What emotions have I stuck in my body and where? And how can I recognize them and bring them through so I can feel them and heal? Okay. So I just want to bring in a slightly deeper layer into this too, because change can feel really hard even when you're showing up, because your body will hold memory. So we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but it's also kind of cellular and energetic memory. So patterns, wounds, survival strategies, they kind of get written into your DNA like code. And what happens is that some of it will be yours, but some of it can also be carried down through generations. And it's also influenced by the collective consciousness as well. Okay. So if you think of the collective consciousness as like a frequency band that humanity is tuned into, and it carries beliefs like life is hard, miracles aren't real, they're extremely rare if they occur, you can only earn it if you do. You can't have it all of those kind of miracle kind of things that we say to each other. Even if your soul knows differently, your field can pull you back into it like static. Okay, so disconnecting from it isn't very easy because it's everywhere, and it's kind of like the million voices against your one voice. But it is possible if we can learn how to recognize the stories we've been raised with, the fears in our lineage, and the cultural lenses around us. So here's the miracle piece. Miracles aren't random. They're frequency events. So they arrive when your field, every cell, every layer of your body matches the vibration that can hold them. So when your DNA is coded by suppressed emotions and collective beliefs, your channel isn't clear enough to receive. So this is why clearing isn't really optional. I'd love it for it to be, because that would make it so much easier, but it's really not. It is actually the path to recoding. And every time you allow yourself to feel, to acknowledge, to move an old emotion, you're not just lightening your mood, you're literally rewriting how your DNA expresses. And this is where true healing happens, because when you can do that on the DNA level, you are also handing down that power to any kids, if you have them, to the people around you. You are changing the collective by changing yourself. And the more you can do that, even after you've had children, but they're still in your energy, it's such a powerful, powerful thing. So when you can shift that, life will tend to reorganize around you because it's going to match your new vibration. And it's not because you forced it. It's not because you faked a high vibe. I really hate this concept of high vibe. We all have to be high vibe, and everyone that's not high vibe isn't, good enough or real enough or like successful enough or whatever. And I would absolutely argue that most high vibe people, especially if they don't feel right to you and they haven't really met themselves at the core of their wounding and who they really are, like how they can unwind their wounding to become the human they're supposed to be. If they are missing that part, it's all bypassing, it's fake, and you can feel it. This whole kind of fake it till you make it thing, I think is a little bit overused, because if we are faking joy when we're dying inside, no one's going to believe you. Your body's not going to believe you. Your soul is not going to believe you. The universe isn't going to conspire to help you. You are denying your reality, your experience, and you're avoiding the possibility of stepping into joy. You're actually bypassing and stopping that joy from coming in. Real joy, not pretend joy, not pretend niceness and kindness, but real joy, real embodied, enlightened joy. That stuff needs reality. And by reality, I mean, what's real for you right now? You might want that beautiful holiday, but if you are still really angry and deeply hurt by the last one, and you're trying to call in a good one, you're going to give yourself a moment to go, hang on, I just need to give myself a bit. It might be 10 minutes, it might be an hour, it might be a couple of days, but allow yourself to surrender to those emotions. You can stamp around. I'm a huge fan of like smash rooms, right? Get some old plates. Go to like the op shop and buy really cheap crap. It is a little bit wasteful, I have to admit, but honestly, give yourself a moment to smash some things. Punch a punching bag, stamp your feet, scream into a pillow, roll around on the ground, whatever it is that your body is like screaming for you to do to release that emotion. Please do it. Please, please, please do it. Because what you are going to feel on the other side is clear energy. And if you feel like you're getting really, really stuck and you cannot seem to find the ability to come out of it, some people get terrified of being stuck in there and not being able to come out the other side. There are a few different tools, so I'm going to give you a couple of tools. The first one is to give yourself permission to bring it through your body and out your feet. You can imagine a tap on the top of your head. You turn the tap on. This is from my book, by the way. Turn the tap on and you invite the energy in, because we might be kind of tantruming in our body and we might be crying a little bit, but the channel is actually circular. So we're actually kind of, through our thoughts and through our intention, we're actually diving deeper and deeper into an emotion, but we're not actually releasing it. So if you bring in the visual, or you bring in the permission to turn the tap on of emotion above your head and bring it through your body and out your feet, and you create the intention of feeling it so you can release it, that can be very, very powerful. The next one that I would suggest doesn't come from me, it comes from Bashar, who I have huge respect for. Bashar states that if you say the following statement, it will help to integrate an emotion quicker. I don't personally believe it takes center stage in terms of processing. I still sometimes believe, well, I often believe that it's really important to bring it through the body. But if something feels really out of control and you don't feel like you can come through it, this is what he suggests. I am choosing to believe X emotion because I'm choosing to believe I need to. I'll say it again. I'm choosing to believe, let's say it's anger. I'm choosing to believe anger because I'm choosing to believe I need to. And this creates a loop of awareness in the body where the experience is subjective. All of our emotions are subjective experiences. Our entire life is a subjective experience. This is why we can create miracles. This is why we can have a clear channel. This is why we can manifest, because everything is subjective. But if our subjective lens is, I can't have a good holiday, and I have enormous amounts of anger around that, and every time I try to express my anger, I stay angry for 5 weeks. Try this. I'm choosing to feel angry because I'm choosing to believe I need to. I'm choosing to feel really angry with X person about this, because of this, because I'm choosing to believe I need to. Give yourself a bit of a play with that. I do actually feel that the moving through of the emotions is really powerful. And I think if we give ourselves permission to move it through, it really does change 100% how those emotions move. They don't feel stuck anymore. They feel like they're actually flowing. What tends to happen is we get really scared of our emotions. And so we actually we actually kind of unconsciously stop them. So we're kind of letting them in and we're kind of feeling them, but then we're like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like this. And then they just kind of loop around. So give yourself permission to bring it all the way through and let it out and see how that goes. Just drop any comments if you've got any questions about this, or if you've tried it and it's not working. But those two things I have found time and time and time again, amazing loop breakers. They kind of open up that energy flow, so they allow things to move through, and then you're not stuck in that, what you feel is a hamster wheel and no resolution to these feelings. So I also had some amazing information from an old mentor, Donnie Epstein, and he used to talk about emotions last between like 30 seconds, I think he said, up to like 10 to 20 minutes. It's not very long. And if it's longer than that, it's a story you're making up. And I absolutely have experienced this, and I agree. So again, use the intention, bringing it through. And I'm choosing to believe because I'm choosing to believe I need to. Give yourself those two things to try. And if you're really giving yourself permission to like move through emotion, put that as kind of like a stage setting, an intention setting for that experience, so that you actually have an intentional emotional clearing rather than feeling stuck in these really kind of uncomfortable states that the discomfort in and of itself keeps you stuck there. Okay, because we actually get really scared. Oh my gosh, these emotions are so big. I'm so worried about them. I'm going to kind of shut them down, even though I think I'm processing. I have had actually experienced a moment around my parents, actually, where I was in a huge amount of grief over something, and I was just allowing it to come through, and the emotions were intense. And they actually really, really got scared. They thought that I was going to end up super, super sick. Their fears and their beliefs around emotions and strong emotions came in because they only believed that really unwell people had emotions that were that intense. And I knew that wasn't true. And I wasn't in a state to explain it to them. But I realized in hindsight, wow, that was actually really confronting for them and really tricky. And I probably just need to be mindful about how and when I choose to do that. And not everybody is equipped to hold a safe space for you. So you may need to give yourself permission to take time out, do it on your own, or only allow yourself to bring those through for people that are able to hold that emotional space for you. If they can't, that alone can block that process. So just be really mindful about that. So if you want to experience what releasing and clearing feels like in real time, so the dissolving of residue, the clearing of your channel, and the recalibration at the DNA level, that's exactly what I'm doing inside the Eagle Rising transmission. So it's free, it's live, it's designed to bring you into your frequency where miracles stop feeling rare and they start becoming natural. So if you want to do that, there's the link in the show notes if you want to, if you feel the pull to that and you want to try that for yourself. It's not as much the emotional release, but it's definitely all the other stuff kind of wound in. And what people can often feel when they're going through those experiences is the emotions will naturally start to flow through. So if you want to give that a try, that's in the links. So here's the beauty when we realize that emotions don't need to be feared, because that is the biggest worry for people. It's going to be too intense. I'm not going to cope. I'm going to freak people out around me. I don't have the time and space. It's not going to clear anything. It's going to make me feel worse. But this is where that intention is super, super important, okay? When you allow them and when you meet them with compassion, they move. So it's not just enough to kind of feel really angry and stay angry and allow yourself to stay in that loop of being angry, because we also get really afraid of the functional emotions. Anger is a really functional emotion. And sometimes we don't even know what the emotion is that we're feeling. We're just either really snappy with people, or we just feel really irritated and we don't know why. It's helpful to be able to name the emotion, but it's not necessary. We just need to know that there's, I just feel a bit of in my body. And you can just ask your body, what do I need to do to release this? What do I need to do to move it through and out of my body and do that thing? Bearing in mind, please don't ever do it to people. Don't use other people as your sounding mat when you're super emotional. Please go and do it on your own. If you think you're going to at someone else, please be very careful of that. And then also just give yourself permission to have a little bit of time around it. When you get really practiced, it's quite quick. And even really, really super deep emotions, according to, I think, Brandon Bays, I think she said it's like 2 to 3 days or less than a week. And if you go really in deep and you just allow yourself to really just move through in the deepest possible way that you can, you'll actually pop up way quicker than you ever dreamt imaginable. Whereas because we get scared and because we kind of stop that loop, that can go on for days, weeks, months, years, decades. And then we're stuck. We stay stuck. We stay stuck in our body. We stay stuck in our lives. We stay stuck in our evolution. And we do not call in those manifestations or miracles. It is not possible. So when you allow them to move, when they come through your body and you get that clearing, you're also going to have your clarity sharpened. Decisions are going to land clearly without that loop happening. Intuition stops whispering and it will start leading. And relationships lighten and boundaries hold with ease. This is such a powerful thing. Your relationships really get so much better when you're not constantly clouded by your own stuff. Remember, we were talking earlier about that relational stuff and the acknowledgement and validation. It works as much relationally as it does on your own. But when you can do it for yourself, that lens is no longer in front of you when you are having that relationship. So if everyone was able to do it for themselves, most relationships would be infinitely better off. So you're not just doing this for you and your kids and your community, but you're also doing it for your really important and close relationships. Your vibration will kind of naturally rise because the stuck emotions, the suppressed beliefs that are kind of keeping you tethered and stuck, once that releases, then your vibration, your natural vibration will go up to where it's supposed to be, and it's almost always going to feel better than it did before. And it's not because you forced your vibration to do something differently. It's not because you worked really hard at that manifestation or that meditation and you just really, just pushed yourself into a state of joy. That's not real joy, by the way. It's because you cleared the residue. It's because you cleared the stuff that's blocking that from naturally being there. Our souls naturally feel expansive and love and joy and compassion and all of the things that we're like desperate for. And if we don't allow ourselves to have that full experience of emotional releasing and belief clearing, we cannot get there in any tangible, embodied way. We might fleetingly experience them because of external things, but that's also not real joy. That's also not real love. That's pretending. That's, allowing ourselves to be in something else for a little while and it coming in briefly, but then it leaves us just as quickly, and then we're kind of back to where we were before. Okay, if we really want that deep, consistent, miracle energy, joy energy, love energy to be in our bodies naturally without trying, this is the way. There is no other way. There's no other way. So this approach is really different because it's not about mindset. Mindset is really helpful to create the idea of what we want. It's really great to help us get an idea about what would work better, but we don't embody a new mindset by telling ourselves that we're going to. That's not how this works. It's about really allowing ourselves to move through whatever's stopping it, right? So it's not about efforting. And it's not about performing joy, right? It's about being real with yourself. It's about meeting yourself exactly where you are, holding the parts of you that feel heavy, that feel angry, that feel afraid, and meeting them with compassion so that you dissolve the residue that they've left in your body, your aura, your relationships, and your life. So when you do that, you're not bypassing anymore, you are embodying. You rise like the eagle, not by flapping harder, but by finding the current that lifts you above this storm without escaping it. Okay, that was heavy. That was big. But as a closing, I want to invite you to just pause and ask yourself, what emotions am I holding down that are quietly shaping my reality? Give yourself permission to meet them, to breathe with them, to let them move. It's so much better if you can create space on your own to do this. Go somewhere where there are no distractions, no phones, no screens, ideally somewhere dark. So if you can kind of go into a dark room and shut the curtains or do it at nighttime and just make sure it's really quiet and dark, and give yourself permission to ask those questions. It's really important. So when you allow them to move with that intention, you don't just clear your channel, you open the space for healing, for miracles, for the dreams your soul has been whispering all along, okay? And if you're ready to step into that frequency with support, come and join me in the Eagle Rising transmission. The doorway is open, your channel is ready, the link's in the show notes. And just remember, you are not broken. You are already rising. You just need to give yourself permission to do it. Thank you so much. If you've been with me the whole time, I appreciate your patience. This was a long one, but so important. I really hope it was helpful, and I so look forward to seeing you next time.